Hi, this is Justin from Zona Dad DIY, and if you want to see how I made this hexagon barn door, keep watching. So I started with some 3/4 inch plywood that I got from a big box retailer and cut it down to the size of my door, minus the trim. I was planning on putting a little trim around the outside of it, so it was about 1.5 inches shorter than what the overall door was going to be. And I've been using this Craig track saw system here for a little bit now, and I really do like it. It just takes a little time to adjust it and finesse and get to know how it works, but you can really make accurate cuts, straight cuts with it. So here I am cutting out all the individual segments for the hex pattern, and don't ask me how I did it, but I did figure it out, and it did end up being pretty even. But each of these chunks of poplar are about 6 inches in length. And then I cut them down to two 30-degree angles on each end. So the hexagon pattern was actually dreamed up by my wife, April. I would have done a much simpler and easier, more standard looking door, but she had this idea to do the hexagon pattern. And so I thought I'd try to make it happen. So you can see I made a little MDF half hexagon template there, which I used to line up my pieces along with the T-square. And it's not perfect. My chop saw isn't really calibrated. Everything, there's gaps in all the joints, but I ended up filling everything in with wood putty and caulk because I was going to end up painting it. But it was a tedious process, gluing and nailing all those individual pieces and making sure they were relatively straight. I did draw guidelines on the plywood beforehand, and the pattern drifted a little bit, and it's not exactly 100% straight, but when you look at it, it doesn't really look that bad. My son Jasper has fun playing with all the blocks of wood. He thinks it's a bow and arrow. So the outside frame of this door is basically the same 3/4 inch by 1.5 inch poplar face frame material. And I mitered the corners and put an edge cap on it so it fully surrounded the edge of the plywood. Now I putty all the nail holes in the gaps. And sand it all down and get it ready to be painted. I've been using this airless sprayer for a little bit here, and it's all right. I'm still trying to get my technique down to not get so much rippling in the finish, but you can really only see it in certain sunlight conditions. But overall, I'm pretty happy with how it turned out. But your arm does get tired holding that sprayer. It does tend to get clogged pretty often too, so you got to be aware of that and clear the clogs. So I got a red oak, solid red oak, 1-inch thick board from the lumber yard, which I screwed into the studs with big long, like 4-inch drywall screws, and countersunk the holes and puttied over them. So I was going to sand it down and paint this header white to match the trim in the house. And you can see the chaos of the family getting ready for bedtime while I'm trying to paint this thing at like 8 o'clock at night. Now I got it up in the room and installing the bottom glide that fits in the track on the bottom of the door, and that's pretty much it. It fit perfectly, and that's what it looks like. So thank you all for watching, and don't forget to like and subscribe to be on the lookout for more content.